Hi, I'm James from Chaosium. I sat down with Bridgett Jeffries and we talked about streaming tabletop role-playing games. Specifically, we talked about what is different between streaming a game and playing it with friends, and how it feels to play with trained actors or influencers within the tabletop role-playing game space. I'm going to jump across to that interview in just a moment, but first, remember to subscribe to the Chaosium YouTube channel. It helps us out and it lets us make more content like this. Thanks.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I've experienced this quite a bit. I've unpacked and talked with some of my friends about it. If you're playing at your local convention, your local game store with your buddies, there tends to be a more relaxed feel about it. It's a little bit more, I hate to say straightforward, but there's a lot less tension and a lot less pressure. When you are recording for a podcast, and God help you if you're doing a live stream where editing isn't an option, you're performing the entire time. It's literally like you're on stage, you're performing for your other players, you're performing for your keeper, you're performing for the fans that are live watching you on Twitch or whatever avenue you're streaming on, and you're performing for the people who will later watch you on YouTube. So I will say I get very anxious prior to live streams. Like I have to go through this whole breathing exercise and deep breath and do what I can to kind of calm down, especially when it's live, because if you drop a ball, you just drop that ball. And that can be very intimidating. And then also when you're on any type of performance stream, and I'm just going to use that word because that's how it feels to me, at least, there's much more of a need for consistent pacing because we don't want to bore the people at home. You can sit down with your local gaming group and like hang out, derail 15 minutes, talk about what's going on with your dog, your family, your friends, what's going on at school. Well, no, when people are watching you live, they're expecting the story. So rules recollection, quickly grabbing rules, quickly rolling in the chat. It's a whole different ballpark. And I'm learning that very quickly, very quickly.
I can imagine that playing on stream, since everybody is so focused on leaning into performance and leaning into making a really great story, that it could build a more entertaining framework for a detailed and nuanced role-playing experience. Do you find in general that the streaming framework tends to enhance the stories told, or does the aspect of performance kind of limit some of the ways that you might usually tell a story and make it feel a bit flat, in your opinion?
I feel like it's more the former, because when you're performing, you're bringing your A game. You are ready, you are focused, you are operating at your highest level of performance. That anxiety and that stress, a lot of people feel it. When I talk to several influencers and other people who are new seasoned, they all feel that jitter right before. It's like, okay, guys, let's do the 1, 2, 3 clap. Are we all good? Okay, great. Everybody recording locally. Okay, great. All right, we're going to hit record. And you can see on everyone's faces the okay, here we go. And I think it brings a much more delightful experience. I think brings more organic game. I think the tension is more real. I think the pacing is more, and then one, you're all hyper-focused on telling this story. That helps with the minimalization of like distractions.
Well, speaking of influencers, you've played a lot of games now with, I guess, celebrities in the tabletop role-playing game space. For those of us who maybe are never going to have the chance to play with those people, does it change the dynamic? Are they as amazing players as you might expect them to be?
Woo! Let me tell you, they wouldn't have their audiences if they weren't top shelf. I'm currently on the Calyx right now with the Becca Scott. You can check her out at thebeccascott.com. And she is brilliant. And I will say the one thing that's intimidating, but also really fun, the current season that we're on right now, which is season 2 of the Sorority of the Unordinary, all of them are professional actors in their lives. Like they do improv classes, they've been on film, they've been on set, they do theater, and so they also game, they also enjoy other hobbies, but a lot of them have an acting career and all out on the West Coast. And I'm over here in Ohio, like, I went to a performing arts school in middle school like 25 years ago. I'm going to try to keep up. But it is a trip. It's really a trip. I will say the one thing that I have experience with dealing with Becca Scott and both Cuppy Cup, and then even the other co-hosts on the Miskatonic University podcast, they are people too. And they have a shared hobby that they are doing a lot of times a labor of love. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it's paid. to really bring the best and the things they love most about the hobby out to you, the audience, to me, the audience. So there's something really beautiful about that for somebody to go, this is what I like doing in my basement. Now I'm going to do it for you.
So you're still relatively, new to the streaming scene in terms of
big time.
Yeah. Do you have any experiences that you've come across as you started breaking into streaming that you think other people might experience as well? Any tips or advice? I know that you're still kind of early on this pathway, but if there's any, early footfalls that you can provide advice on.
Oh, Lord, that's a great question. And there's a lot to go through. One, I have a mild aversion to technology. That's an ongoing joke that my family, my friends all know. Playing in your living room or at your local gaming store at the convention is a lot different. This thing in front of me wasn't here last year. Like, this is provided to me by Cuppy Cup with Ain't Slay Nobody, and it has a whole boom arm. I didn't know what the hell a boom arm was last week. There's webcams and there's technology and there's these cool little boxes and wires that clean up your feed, or you learn how to talk into a mic. And do you have a webcam? What's your lighting doing? I'm sure mine is terrible right now. So be prepared if you want to do this. I don't want to say professionally, because I think that's a hyper extension word. If you want to do this regularly, if you want to do it well, brace yourself for the out-of-pocket expenses that go into being able to provide quality audio, quality video, and get caught up on, the software and things of that nature. For what it's worth, if you are invited onto a stream, the people will help you. The amount of hand holding that these people have done for me is absolutely amazing. God bless them. And I appreciate them for being so patient and getting me caught up to where we are. That's from a technological standpoint. From a player standpoint, go to have a good time. I know that sounds like stupid cliche advice. I know. Somebody told it to me. I was like, but there's gonna be 300 people watching me and they're not gonna like. Go to have a good time. They're there to have a good time. They're there to experience the world of Cthulhu or whatever it is you're playing, the mythos, through your character, through your reaction to what's going on in the story, what the keeper is throwing at you. So if you're new to it, it's okay if you're terrified out of your mind. The majority of us are too. But go and just have a good time because they want to see you play.
Fantastic answer. That's great. So I guess
thank you, babe.
I'd like to ask about convention games as well as stream games. I know that you're somebody who has a lot of experience with conventions. Is there a similarity between playing at a convention and playing on a stream, or are they sort of their own three branches? That is with regular games, of course.
Yeah, no, that's just a phenomenal question. So I'm unpacking.
No worries. Take your time.
My eye rolls. It's so good. I'm going to say yes. There are three different branches. This is Bridget's experience, and this is more or less why. When you're playing with your home group, you're typically playing with people that you're comfortable with. So like Jamie, if you and I have been playing together for the last umpteen whatever, I know what your triggers are. I know what drives you. I know what debate in front of you if I'm writing my own story that's going to make you run down the rabbit hole and have the best time of your life. There's more intimacy there. It's more casual. It can be more laid back. Not saying it can't be a great experience. I mean, top shelf experiences are had at home too. But it's different when you switch over to convention play, because a lot of time those people are paying for tickets. There's a bit more formality when you step onto a field where you sit down at a table and each of these players have paid for a badge to enter the convention or have paid for a ticket for this convention, because there's a higher expectation of a certain degree of quality that comes with it, at least for me. In addition to that, you're playing at a convention, you've got total strangers. You have no idea what you're going to get. Are you going to get the real loud, over obnoxious people like me that have issues dominating the table in role play? Are you going to have the super withdrawn people that don't really interact? Are you going to have the rules lawyer that knows the rules, or God help you, the setting more than you do? I mean, there's a lot more micromanaging, table sharing you have to do in a convention setting. Stream, woo, that's next level. I'm loving it. But listen, it's intimidating. It is fun, but it is next level. So I'm going to say three different tiers with that.